Here's the tail of the tape. You see Page is 1 year younger at 29. They've both been around a little bit. 3-inch height advantage for Page, 1.5 inches in reach. They weighed in at 147 and 146. Both have put on about 10 pounds since having weighed in more than 24 hours ago. Rules of the bout, where their unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The James Page Andrew Sixhead Lewis fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Harold. Politically troubled, but big trouble for his opponents, particularly with the left hook. A closer look at James Page.
As part of his separation, or attempted separation from Don King, James Page had to fire his mother, who was listed as his co-manager in that deal, a way of keeping him under King's tutelage. At the same time, he has been helped through all of this by the controversial rap promoter James Prince, who is best known for helping Floyd Mayweather split from his father. And those postponements enriched him, because he has been offered a little over $100,000 for this fight previously. Tonight, he will make twice that.
Across the ring from him, Andrew Sixheads Lewis. How did he get the nickname? In an amateur fight, he hit his opponent so hard that the opponent reputedly said to the referee, "I see 6 blurry heads in front of me." Andrew has been called Six Heads, or Six, ever since, Larry.
And here's a look at Sixheads. He is in the family business. His father was a professional fighter who reportedly once sparred with Sugar Ray Robinson, and he has no less than 5 cousins who are professional fighters. He has a connection to Brooklyn, along with Raul Frank, another welterweight who is in line to fight for a vacant welterweight title. And his big dream is to get out of the ghetto, and with this $200,000 purse, to purchase his own home.
Tonight he tries to become the first ever from the tiny nation of Guyana to win a championship belt in boxing. As you watch this telecast, you can also log on to hbo.com/boxing and check out our latest installment of the popular Where Are They Now, featuring Aaron the Hawk Pryor. In addition, you can also sign up for HBO's newsletter, Boxing Alert, for all the latest updates, fight announcements, and personal notes on the life of Harold Letterman on hbo.com/boxing. Now let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino of Las Vegas, where tonight Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with La Cerveza Más Finas Corona, presents world-class boxing for your entertainment, sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The 3 judges assigned to ringside, scoring this bout on a 10-point must system, will be Bill Graham, Paul Smith, and Bob Watson. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Kenny Bayless. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBA welterweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red and blue and weighing in at 147 pounds. His professional record, 19 victories without a loss, with 1 draw, and 18 of those 19 wins are by knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooklyn's in the house. From Brooklyn, New York, here is the undefeated WBA #1 ranked welterweight in the world, Andrew Sixheads Lewis. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 146 pounds. He's wearing silver trimmed with blue. His professional record, 25 victories, including 19 knockouts, with only 3 losses and a world title. Tonight, he looks to regain that title and comes to us from Pittsburgh, California, presenting the former WBA welterweight champion of the world, James the Mighty Quinn Page.
caution, obey my commands at all times. And above all, keep the fight clean at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch gloves.
This is another match between a speed fighter, Lewis, and a puncher, Page. We saw what happened the last time between Mayweather and Corrales.
You know, going in this fight, though, it's interesting that Lewis also is a good puncher himself, and he punches with both hands, where primarily Page is mainly dangerous with his left hook. So it's going to be much easier for Lewis to prepare for the counter his left hook than it's going to be for Page to look out for Lewis, because Lewis punches good with both hands and from a southpaw stance.
The cautionary note there is that Page's left hook is no ordinary left hook. It's a pretty doggone good left hook. So he could change the fight by landing one of them, depending on how well Lewis takes the punch.
But it looks like he's too slow. The speed is going to be a bigger factor.
Well, he's already landed 2 solid left hooks as Lewis from his southpaw
Page is too slow, and this fight's going to be over quickly.
So you like Andrew Sixheads Lewis to go through him with his speed, huh, Manny?
Speed is a big factor. It's too slow.
And James Page is rusty, not having been in the ring in nearly 2 years. Well, Sixheads getting off to a very fast start in round 1.
Yeah. The speed he's showing is with his hands rather than with his quickness as a boxer. He's just beating Page to death.
And even the thing about it, when Page misses a punch, I look at the balance, and that lets you know that something is wrong. If he misses the punch, he loses his balance almost completely.
Page landed a left hand. Lewis squares up his shoulders, goes into a conventional stance. He starts out as a southpaw, but at any opportunity, Lewis will square his shoulders, switch his feet, and just wail away. So you've got 2 aggressive fighters, but it's been Lewis's aggression which has been the big factor in round number 1. Landing his left cross. And Page seemingly slightly wobbled by the left cross, but still looking to counter with his own left. Lewis throws him into the ropes and almost threw them.
Lewis is putting a lot of pressure on Page, and I don't think Page likes to fight at this tempo. He's known as a slow, methodical fighter who punches very well, but like most good punchers, he has to get set. And when you make a puncher have to fight faster than he normally likes to, you take away a lot of his punching power.
We're always talking about how a conventional fighter should throw his straight right hand against a southpaw. By the same token, a southpaw can fire a straight left hand up the pipe against a conventional fighter.
That's true.
And that's what Lewis is doing to Page.
He just landed a very good left hand punch that hurt Lewis temporarily there.
Yeah, just remember, Page fought a very gutsy fight against Jose Luis Lopez. He was knocked down twice and still won the fight.
But I think the fact that Lopez was a much slower starter comparatively, and this guy right here starting at such a faster tempo.
James Page working with the 4th trainer of his career coming into the fight, Yoel Judah. It is said in the sport that Judah didn't have much chance to work with Page, and Page looking increasingly ring rusty as Lewis bats him around through most of round number 1. Big round for Andrew Sixheads Lewis of Guyana.
I scored that a 10-8 round, Jim.
You see what happened? Breathe. Keep breathing. You saw that? All right. 6. You gotta stick to our game plan. Game plan is speed, okay? Yeah. Okay, breathe, baby. Okay, breathe. Come on. All you gotta do with this kid, listen, let your jabs go, then let straight right hands and hook. Double up on your hooks on this kid. He's right in front of you. You understand me? And move. Keep your hand. I told you keep him up in front of your face, right? Breathe. Take this. Come here. Look, I want you to use your...
Lewis spent a lot of himself in that round and put a lot of damage on Page. Can Lewis keep up that pace? How much more can Page take?
I think it's the case also the fact that he's setting a good pace, but he's landed most of his blows. So if he's landing blows, he's going to be doing just as much damage to the other guy. if he was throwing a lot of blows and Page was blocking the punches or making him miss, would be a different factor.
Harold Letterman with the more conventional scoring, 10-9 in the first round, not buying into Larry Merchant's 10-8 campaign. A CompuBox wipeout, Lewis landing 42 out of 101 to 15 out of 56 to Page. Lewis landing more than half his power shots. Big right hand by Page. Lewis comes back with a 1-2 and a right hand of his own. There's that straight left hand again, right up the gut by Andrew Lewis.
It's just a much faster pace than Page wants to fight at.
And he's now turned to a conventional style, and he does it in a very smooth way.
Yeah, that's what happens, Arthur, when you get a puncher. When he likes to get set, and all of a sudden he has to start fighting at a faster pace and a tempo, which is totally unorganized. And suddenly he's not a puncher that much then. He's a normal fighter.
Emmanuel, when a guy has such a natural punching power as Page, does he tend to ignore too much of the other game?
I think that's a big fact. In particular, his basic boxing. He doesn't utilize the other talents as much as he should because he's physically a big man. And his jab should be one of his biggest weapons instead of just a left hook.
Page trying to get his jab going here in the second round. You heard Yoel Judah asking James to use the jab. Interesting, of course, because Judah's son, Zab Judah, is one of the most distinctive southpaws in the sport. And you don't often hear trainers asking their fighters to try to set up with the jab against a southpaw. It often gets blocked.
That's correct.
Also, Page hired Judah to train him because he works in the same gym that Six Heads does in Brooklyn, and he felt that he would be able to help him.
And that's very interesting. Particularly
big uppercut, and then Lewis pushes Page onto the seat of his pants. It's a knockdown, and Kenny Bayless picks up the count at 6.
Okay, come to me.
I think the knockdown was a good punch, but a lot of it is also just the basic balance of his feet is just not as good and accurate as that of Lewis. Lewis seems to be much more balanced.
Mouthpiece replacement here. Buys a little extra time for Page. Now with the mouthpiece back in, Lewis steps back. Another hard left hand and a big right by Lewis. Page trying to counter, but a half step slow. Lewis going to the body. Page swinging wildly and missing. Lewis picking his shots and landing. Huge round for Lewis. And if the first one was a 10-8, this one certainly is.
But in between all of the big punches, Page still lands a big shot every once in a while that keeps him in the fight, and he's still dangerous.
But an early deficit on the scorecards for sure for James Page as Andrew Lewis dominates the first 2 rounds.
Give me the water bottle. Give me the water bottle. Hey, water bottle.
You all right?
Water bottle.
You okay?
You can't what?
All right.
Page, you gotta let your hands go. You understand me? Let your hands go, Page. You sitting in front of you. Look, right hand, hook, right hand. Look for your Page. Uppercut is right there. Your uppercut. Okay. Listen, your uppercut is sitting right.
Your jab. So we're going back to basics. Good jab and put it on him, and then get the fuck out.
All right. Breathe, son.
Everything off the jab. Okay.
All right.
Who's got it?
There's the uppercut.
Off of these first 2 rounds, Jim, I'd have to say that if he can sustain this, Andrew Lewis has the kind of strength and will and skill and punch that might give Shane Mosley more trouble than any other welterweight I can think of right now.
You know, and I think the instructions that Page was getting was good. He's having a problem dealing with Lewis's speed, and he's never going to be able to deal with it. So he needs to just start throwing more punches and hope that he can land something, because at the rate it's going, he's getting beat anyway. And he cannot try to time and anticipate the punches of Lewis because he's too fast and too crafty.
Punch that set up the knockdown was a right-hand uppercut. Lewis landed another one of them just a moment ago, not with quite as much mustard on it. There's a right hand across the top and another right uppercut. And another right uppercut. Page is leaning into that punch and giving Lewis an easy target for it. Lewis picking Page apart from the outside, and Page one punch at a time.
I will say this much to Page. He is very determined. He's not giving up. A lot of lesser fighters with heart would have given up in this fight.
Well, all that ring rust, 19 months out of the ring, surely Page feels as though he can work his way back into the fight if he can hang on.
Well, he's getting hit with punches. It's not going to help him a lot. If he was blocking a lot of punches, it's different.
He lands a left hook on the neck of Six Heads Lewis.
He needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's got to keep throwing a lot of punches.
Six Heads' attack slowing here in the third round.
The basic balance in position of Lewis is just so tremendous as compared to that, and the balance in the position of Page. That alone makes the fight almost a mismatch. Lewis is in a position at all times to punch effectively and to block punches.
Perfect example of that right there.
Page coming back with those big punches again, which
lands two left hooks. When Lewis squares his shoulders up and straightens his feet, he gives Page a chance to make his left hook effective.
That's right, and Page still is punching with full power. There it is again.
Yep.
There it is again.
Because Lewis leads with a right hook instead of a jab. And when he leads with a right hook, he turns his shoulder and gives Page chances to counter with the left hook. Lewis needs to use his jab instead of leading with the hook all the time.
And he's so intent on trying to finish Page that he's not even looking for punches back himself now.
Now Page gets a chance to try an uppercut. Lewis with another right hand uppercut of his own and missed. Goes to Page's belly twice with the left hand.
This fight definitely will not go to 12 rounds.
Doesn't look that way. It's an all-out war so far.
When a fighter can punch as well as Page can, he hangs in there, Emmanuel, simply because he knows he's always got a shot.
Yes. And that's why he hasn't given up yet. He knows he's one punch away from that.
Shit. You understand me? Yeah, listen, you gotta let your hands go. You understand? You train with it. You gotta let your hands go, baby. You want this fight, do you want it? Yeah. You want it? But let your chest go. You hit him with that hook, double up on it. All right, you gotta hurt this kid. Get him going backwards. Water. Give me the water.
Breathe.
Box.
Breathe. 6. Breathe. Come on. Give me 4. Give me 4. Breathe. Come on.
Come on, breathe.
No, don't
Back
blow.
to box.
Come on. 1.
One more time.
2.
All right. Back to boxing. Don't stay in front of him no more.
You hear me? 6.
Hands up.
Hey.
Box.
We gotta be in the middle of the fucking ring. Because he's just hoping you're gonna run out of the fucking gas.
Breathe. We here to go 12. Breathe. You see his balance. Watch his balance. He's bouncing. He trips sometimes.
Interesting that most of the talking in Lewis's corner is done by his manager and cut man, Nelson Fernandez. He's the one with the colorful language. And, of course, it's Yoel Judah, who's being very forceful in trying to get James Page back on the right page to stay in the fight.
I think Yoel is giving him good instructions, too, because he cannot handle the speed of Lewis, so he can just forget that.
Let's go to Harold Letterman for a look at how he scored the first 3 rounds. Harold?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-26. Obviously, Andrew Six Heads Lewis. Jim, my criteria for a 10-8 round without a knockdown is if the other guy's punching back, I'll still go 10-9. And that's the reason I went 10-9 in the first round. James Page was throwing punches back. But I got to tell you something, Jim. I'm a little bit against this, I don't know if you guys noticed, this thing with the mouthpiece. I mean, Lewis scores a knockdown. Page is obviously hurt. Lewis wants to take advantage, and the referee calls time. By the time Andrew Lewis got to James Page, James was totally recovered.
What was he going to do, Harold? The mouthpiece was out. The mouthpiece had to be replaced.
But the idea is, should you take away a man's advantage?
Well, there was a stoppage in the fight because of the count. I mean, I'm not sure. Is Bayless just supposed to ignore the possibility to put the mouthpiece back in because of the timing of that, Harold?
Well, I certainly wouldn't put it in when Lewis had a chance to win the fight.
So you would have made Page fight without the mouthpiece?
Well, in this situation, yes, because Lewis could have ended it.
All right. Meanwhile, round 4 action continues, and it's more of the same.
At this stage, Page seems to be totally content on just trying to land one big punch. He's not even really concerned too much with excessively trying to block punches or avoid them. He's looking just to land a power punch and get himself back into the fight.
Probably thinking that his chances of winning a decision have already gone, if not down the drain, pretty far south.
That's correct.
And Lewis Lewis still out-throwing and out-landing Page as they reach the final minute of round number 4. Page waiting and looking, as Emmanuel says, for the one big shot.
Lewis is now fighting the fight that we anticipated him fighting. Outside, moving inside, throwing punches, staying out of range, doing what you just see him doing here.
But even though Page is being beaten this round, he's been hit with less power punches this round than any other previous round. He's been able to avoid most of Lewis's power shots at this point.
Now Lewis doing his scoring with the jab in this round. Yes. But when he throws the jab, instead of leading with the right hook, he doesn't give Page the same chance to counter with the left hook, which is his best punch.
That's correct. But Page's been throwing some pretty decent right hands tonight, too, which surprised me. There's a power left hook following the right hand.
Yep.
He shot the right hand more to get in position for the left hand that he shot back afterwards. And this round right here, he's looked at Chow, but he's did a lot better, I think, than in most of the previous rounds.
Yes, he's definitely doing better.
James Page's whole life has been that of a survivor. And so far, that's all he's doing here is surviving.
Yes, but he's a dangerous survivor.
Another one, deep, in, deep, deep, in, do you know? One more, come on. Page, listen to me. They told him to take the round. He's trying to take the round. You know what I'm saying? He's up 3, all right? Go in and get him. You still won that one, right? No, listen, go 5. And hands off. 6. Keep moving. Okay, 6. You're in shape. See, the same thing. We're in the gym. Motherfucker out there. We're in the gym. You got the speed. Don't get careless. Don't get careless, okay? Put your hand moving. You're getting better, buddy. You're getting better by the second on him, baby. Okay?
Manuel, Lewis's corner may be telling him the smart thing to do. Be careful.
I think he's
got the
careful.
quickness.
That's right.
But he's had a chance here to make a spectacular performance, and he has such an edge. Why hold him back?
Well, I think at this point in time, for whatever reason, he seems to be boxing, but he's not that effective when he's boxing. I think when he's power punching, he's more effective.
Pretty effective with a little shoulder blockage there.
Well, it's amazing that he's actually been able to physically handle Page a lot simply because of a fact called balance. Page's balance is so much worse, and he walks on his heels, whereas Lewis punches primarily from the ball of his feet, which gives him a tremendous advantage balance-wise and physically makes him look a lot stronger.
Manny, we always talk about ring rust when a fighter's been off as long as Page. Now, he says he sparred 150 rounds coming into the fight, but he doesn't look as comfortable in there as he's looked in his good performances. Is it a case where no matter how much you spar, there's no substitute for actually having a fight?
Well, it's not anything like the real boxing, but also I don't think that Lewis has been that busy. Both of them, based on the politics, he's been tied up.
Big left hand by Page.
Yes, what I'm saying, he's still a power puncher. He's punching with full power, even though he's looking clumsy. But I think the fact that Lewis is a more flashier, faster fighter is more of a factor.
Break, step back clean.
Most of the guys that I've saw Page fight have been basically right in front of him. And Lewis is giving him angles, twisting and turning, doing a lot of Pernell Whitaker type moves, throwing right uppercuts like Chris Nassim Hamed. He's doing a variety of things, and I don't think Page is used to that. He's basically a one-dimensional, straightforward power puncher.
Certainly Page's most memorable performance was in his 12-round decision win over Jose Luis Lopez. Lopez was a guy he didn't have to go hunting for. Lopez was right in front of him. Lopez can whack with the right hand, and he got credit for 2 knockdowns against Page.
Yes, but see, Page is now having to do a lot of pivoting, turning around, going to different angles, and therefore you can see his awkwardness and his bad balance often shows up a lot.
Andrew Lewis going to the body. Page comes back with a body shot of his own. Lewis peppering Page with his right hand jab. Now he goes to the conventional stance again, jabs with the left hand. Hits Page with the right.
But you're seemingly, Page is being hit a lot, but he hasn't been hurt as much as he was earlier. And actually, from what I can saw, at 3 times at least, I saw Lewis seriously hurt. So he's still very dangerous. Right now, there it is again. And I think that Lewis has developed a lot more respect. I know I have for Page as his fight has progressed.
Page tactically outgunned early, showing heart.
Tremendous right hook, right uppercut.
Lewis again with the right uppercut.
See, the thing with, although Lewis was blocking all those punches, he was in such a position that it was very easy for him to come back with a counter punch.
Right hook for Lewis out of the southpaw. Comes back with a straight left hand. A terrific last 30 seconds of the round for Andrew Six-Heads Lewis, who continues to pile up points on the scorecard against James Page. Still to come, 126-pound main event, Guti Espadas, the only natural-born son of a boxing champion ever to himself win a championship. Imagine that stat. In the whole history of the sport, he's the only natural-born son of a titleist ever to have himself won a title.
And especially in today's time when it seems like every father has got his son boxing.
It's amazing.
Listen, when he throws his right, he's looking to throw his hook.
Here's that Page left hand. That's his money punch, but he's landed it 3 or 4 times square on Lewis. Lewis might have blinked a little bit, but he kept on coming.
I like that combo. Right hook, right uppercut.
He's got a lot of weapons against one weapon.
Power punches through 5. Lewis 128 out of 250, 51%. Page 49 out of 188. Page still looking to land the one big punch. Lewis still pitching a shutout on the Letterman scorecard. Round 6 arrives.
Well, both guys have shown that they can take a good punch. And I think both guys have shown they want to win this fight badly also.
Andrew Lewis told us yesterday, I'm hungry, I'm deadly. You know what I mean? We said, yes, we know what you mean. He said, you know what I mean? I said, yes, we know what you mean.
And if you notice how quickly he pumps that jab, that's how quickly his tongue goes as well.
Unbelievable.
Talks faster than Kevin Kelly.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible.
Well, it's possible. We know that now.
From Georgetown, Guyana. Guyana is a little country on the northeast corner of South America.
I think that at this point in time, Lewis has developed a lot of respect now for Page, even though he's beaten him. And he's right now a little bit more cautious to some degree himself.
Rolls Page into the ropes and sets him up for a sucker right hand. Just missed the clean shot that might have put Page in big trouble once again.
He's fighting a good fight by just using his jab and trying to get Page to relax and maybe landing a sneak punch after getting him to relax. Whereas before, every punch was a knockout punch, and Page was anticipating that his body was tense. And now he's trying to relax him a little bit. Plus, he's got to slow down so he doesn't burn himself out.
Watching referee Kenny Bayless in there, Emmanuel, reminds us that the Nevada State Athletic Commission has lost 3 veteran referees within the past couple of years. Retirements by Mills Lane and now Richard Steele. The unfortunate suicide of Mitch Halprin. Has the landscape here changed with considerably less experienced referees doing big fights?
I think so, but I think the new guys are doing fairly good for the most part. And I've been very impressed with Kenny.
Yeah, I think Kenny has a great potential. He's got
yes.
certainly a lot of athletic talent, which referees need in this day and age.
Yeah, oh yes. And this has turned out to be a good fight, and he's let it be a good fight, too, but not coming in excessively interfering with the fighters.
Lewis still banging away. Page still taking many more punches than he's able to land. Page still waiting and trying to land one big shot.
And Page still dangerous.
Definitely.
I think he's more dangerous theoretically than actually, Emmanuel.
Well, it seems like he's become very sloppy, but for whatever reason, it seems he hasn't been hurt that much lately.
Left eye beginning to swell just a little bit on James Page.
Here's a look at the current state of this division in some of the big matchups. Shane Mosley is fighting Shannon Taylor, an undefeated Australian. Next month, we are watching Lewis versus Page for one version of the title. And Vernon Forrest is still scheduled to fight Lewis's countryman, Raul Frank, for another version of the title. We haven't included Oscar De La Hoya's fight against Arturo Gatti in this picture because De La Hoya has already stated that that will be his last fight as a welterweight, moving up to junior middleweight.
Hands up. Boxer, right?
This is the situation where Lewis threw Page into the ropes and then tried to knock him over the ropes with the right hand, and the blow glanced rather than to land solidly. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I still got it a shutout. 6-0, 60-53. Andrew 6 heads Lewis. You got to give him that extra point in round 2 for the knockdown. So far, he's winning it in the last 3 rounds with that right jab and the combinations there. Right jab, straight left hand. And James Page is just not moving his hands, not throwing any punches. You can't win a fight unless you land a punch. James Page is just not punching enough. Andrew Lewis winning it on clean punching.
Andrew, even when he's jabbing, there's no real power in his jab. His glove is not even closed, but it's just enough to try to keep that. Once again, that's a balance factor in the footwork. It just makes him look physically so much stronger because of the better balance that he has. But he's still setting them up, hopefully, for a big, solid punch. The jabs are what we call just fielded and probing type jabs. No power there.
Bayless warning Lewis.
That was it. The punch he didn't see. He was looking, watching out for the jab, picking the jab, and then a right. And
that was a right hook.
Right hook off of the jab.
Brilliant. Just a brilliant punch.
He never saw it, and that was not one of his power punches, but he relaxed.
That hurt Page much worse than the earlier uppercut, and Kenny Bayless stops the fight. Andrew 6 heads Lewis with a technical knockout of James Page. Well, the punch you don't see, right?
The punch you don't see is the one that hurts you. He was so preoccupied with that little paw and jab, and all of a sudden, it was an explosion on the left side of his head that he never even knew about. From the same hand that was doing the jabbing.
6 heads has impressive punching power.
And I thought he fought a good fight. He made great adjustments once he realized that Page was able to absorb his punches. And he changed up and just boxed a little bit, did different things. And he took some pretty good whacks himself.
So you have a new title holder in the welterweight division. And for the first time in the history of the tiny nation of Guyana, Guyana produces a world professional titleist in boxing. And a personality who could attract a following, because this guy is engaging. He talks a mile a minute. He's an unusual dude, to say the least. I mean, the nickname enough. The nickname alone, 6 heads Lewis.
It's like 6 mouths speaking at the same time, too. It's unbelievable. I've heard a lot of people speak fast. Kelly, my daughter Savette, speaks very fast. And you speak pretty fast sometimes when we're not on camera. But compared to this man, you're a slow motion.
Right. Watch the right hook again, Emmanuel. Perfect land, right on the temple.
And the punch he didn't see once again. I mean, he was preoccupied with trying to deal with that paw and jab.
And of course, the accumulation of punishment from the early rounds also a factor.
Yes, it was. And, but still, both guys was really determined. And I think that right now in Lewis, we have a strong contender right now in that welterweight mix-up that's right there with Shane Mosley. Look at him straight in the eye, and it's a serious challenge.
Let me ask you something. Larry pointed out that Oscar De La Hoya prepares to move up to 154 pounds as you look at the new titleist celebrating in the ring. If Mosley's staying at 147, if Trinidad's going up to 160 to fight middleweights, why is De La Hoya going to 154? What business is he looking for there?
A lot of things that Oscar do we can't understand, but maybe he is having trouble making the weight. But regardless of what weight they're going into, all of these new champions are quality champions, and I just see great fights in the welterweight, junior middleweight, and middleweight. Unfortunately, Roy Jones doesn't have anyone that's serious right now. I really would like to see him still fight with Bernard Hopkins.
Well, if Trinidad and Hopkins wind up facing each other at 160, as is possible in that tournament, then maybe the winner of that fight goes to 168 and fights Roy Jones. De La Hoya has always said that he didn't want to fight Fernando Vargas, but that becomes the marquee opponent at 154. Meanwhile, for this fight, let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Kenny Bayless calls a halt to the bout following the knockdown. The official time, 1 minute, 13 seconds of round number 7. The winner by knockout victory, and now the undefeated WBA welterweight champion of the world from Brooklyn, New York, Andrew 6 heads Lewis.
waited a long time. As he said, he went through 2 separate training camps last year preparing to fight Page, and Page backed out of both those fights. Finally, Lewis got his chance and made the most of it, particularly in this area. It was a CompuBox wipeout, as you see Lewis landing 152 more punches than Page, throwing 241 more punches than Page, and landing at a 41% connect percentage to only 24% for Page. So Lewis thoroughly dominated the fight. Now let's watch him dominate the interview with Larry Merchant.
And he will, Jim. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Six. It seemed that in the first 30 seconds of the fight, you knew you could beat him to the punch every time.
Yeah, but I know when he's a slow starter, so I just start it early as possible, you know what I mean? Don't make me carry through and win the fight, you know what I'm saying?
Did you think that you could knock him out?
I know he can knock you out because I sparred with him in camp already, and I know he got weakness. He's very slow, and I fast more than him. I know he can't take it. He can't make it in the later rounds. That's why I start. My coach, my corner, telling me to start box because I was getting sluggish. So my corner said, start boxing. So I'm got the rules with the corner, and
he hit you with a few solid left hands. Did you feel it?
He hit me with some shot, but you know I got 6'6". Lewis got a good chin. You know I can take it. You know I'm a world ranked fighter. I'm one of the world champion. You know I take better shot more than that, man. So it really can't hurt me. You know.
Tell us what this means to you and your country to win a title.
Well, my country never win a world title. You know what I mean? So this title is the first world title Guyana ever win. You know, so I'm very proud for winning it, and I love Guyana.
All right, the recognized welterweight champion of the world is Shane Mosley. What are your feelings about fighting him?
But I'd like to bring on Shane Mosley, bring on Oscar De La, all the top fighters I would fight, you know. But I want Shane Mosley or Oscar De La, you know what I mean? First of all, I'd like to thank Barbarian, the top rank, and HBO for got me out here doing my best.
Six, we'll be seeing you again.
Yeah, you see me again, and I'm the world champion.
Jim, back to you.